Cornerstone, just welcome back to another time where we can connect with one of our missionaries, and today we're hanging out and just sort of talking to Benjamin and Tachi, and just kind of hearing from them, and wanting to catch up with just what life is like down in Brazil. I want to remind you where they are, where they're located, how long they've been married, and just some of their ministry, and just really looking at just ways we can pray for them during this time. So Benjamin, let us know, just remind us who you are, who your dear wife is, how long you guys been married, how long you've been in Brazil, and just some of the things that you're doing down there, and where in Brazil you are located, for those who might be newer to our church.
Okay, so I'm Benjamin, and this is Tachi Candy, and we have been married for 6 months now, and I have been a missionary here in Brazil for the last 3 years. We are working in the very southernmost state of Brazil. So if you look at a map of Brazil and you go all the way to the tip, the most southern part, that's the state where we are. And we are working in the cities primarily of Ivochi and Dois Irmãos. So in Ivochi, I am one of the elders and a pastor at the church in Ivochi that was planted by a missionary. We're going on our 10th year as an official church. And the church in Ivochi has partnered with ABWE, which is our missions agency, to plant a new church in Dois Irmãos. And so that's the two areas where we are working. So now I want to give you a chance to hear from my lovely wife for a second, for her to introduce herself.
Okay, like a couple, we have a calling for our sister and brothers of church, and asking, how are you? Do you have a request?
Prayer request.
Prayer request. And but every day I am, or I still I'm calling for my sisters and youth group and other women, and to do the same question, because we believe this time we need something, alguém que ligue.
So we need to be connecting with people more.
Yeah.
So as a church, that's one of the things that we have really tried to do, is be more connected. So even as we are having online video services, so if you want a sermon in Portuguese, I'll send Matt the link. He can include it when he sends this out, and you can listen to our preaching in Portuguese. But what we've also done as a group of elders is we divide up every member and regular attender of the church, and we have 8 to 10 that we call and pray with and talk with each week. And we rotate amongst all of our elders so that you're talking to many of them.
Yeah.
And then besides that, we're encouraging people in the body to call the people that they know, to check in, to see how they're doing, to see what's going on. And so Tachi's doing that with all the girls in the youth group, with her friends, with the other women that she knows. And so that's kind of what we're doing in the church, specifically in the body. But we think that this is a great time for the gospel to go forth. There are many people who are hurting. There are many people who need hope. There are many people who need physical help. And to this end, we have an opportunity to provide food for the many people who've been laid off, and to provide basic assistance like a basic meal package: rice, beans, sugar, coffee, oil, pasta, the kind of a basics pack. And when we go and deliver those, we're able to share the gospel, and we're able to talk with them, and we're able to encourage them.
Yeah.
We've actually seen, I was looking at one of our videos the other day, and normally we have about 120 who come to church.
Okay.
And that video had over 500 views.
Wow.
After one day. And so there's a lot of people who we've been able to
Yeah.
reach and share the gospel with and
Praise the
continue to
Lord.
preach the gospel. But that's in Evo Chi.
Yeah.
Now, also in Dois Hermanos, this is a church plant. We are starting to talk with people. We have a Bible study. We reach out to the people in the Bible study. But we also have found great favor with the mayor and the government in Dois Hermanos. And so we went and talked to them, and we said, hey, we would love to help some of the people who've been laid off. And they said, that's wonderful. We have these 30 families from Venezuela who just came here, started working, and were laid off last week.
Wow.
Can you help them? And so we put together some basics, necessities packages, and went and delivered it to them and got to share the gospel with them, and found out that there are some that are Christians that were looking for churches, that were looking to be a part. And so we've been able to reach out into the community even during this time of quarantine. And we're kind of sad that we're in our house.
Yeah.
But it's a great time of, Tachi and I find ourselves meeting with people over Zoom for, normally it's one day a week, Thursdays, about 8 hours. We're on the phone and on Zoom meetings, talking and praying with people at the church just to catch up with them.
Yeah.
To see how they're doing. And so that's kind of what we're doing and what our, daily life is like. It's sit in the house and pray and be on the phone.
Wow. Well, that's 8 hours a day, man. That's great. I mean, that's just encouraging. You guys are finding different ways and new ways to be able to reach the gospel, reach others with the gospel. And that's encouraging. So before we started recording, you were talking a little bit about just kind of some of the restrictions and stuff that are going on in Brazil and just in your town. Like, you have to stay in your home most of the time. What does that look like? I mean, how often can you leave? Are you like forced to stay at home unless you have to go out for essential things, and then delivering these packages to homes? I mean, how does that kind of work for you guys?
So right now we have the mayoral and the governmental edicts that say if you leave your house, you have to wear a protective mask. One of those N95 if you can get it.
Yeah.
But a protective mask.
Sure.
And then they say we don't want anybody leaving their house unless they're going to something essential. Food, helping somebody. Sometimes people think other things are essential. But when you go to a store, they actually have marked out on the ground your spacing. So you can't get into certain stores, and you've got these big, long lines of people spaced out every, 5 feet, essentially. And so that's kind of what it is. But we are able to get out and go to Dois Hermanos to deliver food. We're able to get out and go here. The restrictions are limited more if you're going interstate travel or if you're flying on the airplane. But around town or around your local cities, especially where we are more in the suburbs, there are less restrictions than if you were in the city. In the cities like Porto Alegre, there's a lot more restrictions on who can go where and what you're going to do. But if you are caught out doing something that is not allowed, there's 2 big things. One, if you're a foreigner caught out, you could be put in jail until the quarantine's ended and have no recourse. or what's more likely is she'll just get a very steep fine, something like your salary for a month is basically what the fine would be, is a poor person's salary for a month. So that's kind of what restrictions look like here, and we're hoping to see them partially lifted in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're holding out hope that maybe next month they say maybe we'll be able to meet as a church body,
Okay.
as long as our meeting hall is less than 25% of the capacity that it would hold.
Okay.
So,
All right.
and then we might have to do mass and take people's temperatures, and they've got a whole list of stuff that they're talking about
Yeah.
making us do.
All right. All right, guys. That's yeah. Yeah, it's been tough. Not being able to meet with our people as well, and we're just praying that we can get together again sooner than later. Because I know you guys have a great desire to do that. What are some of the things that we can be, just as a church, is praying for you guys about? As you mentioned, that the church plant and Doris or most, I don't want to pronounce it all wrong, but there we go. I know you had some different counseling ministries you guys are doing there as well, and just what are some things we can be praying for just with your ministries?
So first of all, you can be praying that the gospel would be well received, and that the Lord would use this to save those who he wants to have saved. We're saddened by this, but we think that this is a great opportunity to share the gospel. And we feel like the Lord is opening up great avenues to do that. Secondly, pray for our churches and even the church plant, that we would be able to share hope with people. There is a fear here that the suicide rate is going to go up because people don't have jobs, don't have hope, don't see a future. And a lot of people's recourse will be suicide. And so we are actively trying to engage with people, but we want to do that more. And we want to see hope and the gospel transform lives, and not, sadness, loneliness, and suicide. Thirdly, pray for wisdom for our leaders of the church in Evo Chi and the church plant. We have no precedent to how to deal with this. We're praying and we're talking, on a weekly basis about how do we respond to this? What's the next step? How do we prepare for getting back together? What does that look like? How can we serve? Can we purchase 5,000 masks for the local hospital so that the medical people have masks? And we actually had a guy actually made that in his factory. He makes shirts, and he changed his factory from making shirts to making medical masks for us.
Wow.
And so, but just that we would have wisdom as to how to practically reach into the community to deliver hope, and then also protect our body. We have a lot of people who are in the high risk group, especially in our church plant. If we got together with the people in our church plant, like the Bible study, who weren't in the high risk group, we would have, I think, 10 people out of the 30 that are normally there.
All right.
Because you have a lot of people that are in the high risk group, or who are caring for those in the high risk group.
Sure.
Who are a part of our Bible study. So how do we navigate that going forward and care for those in the high risk group while still trying to get together and resume corporate worship and fellowship?
Yeah. All righty. Yeah, we'll definitely be in prayer for those things. When I post this on, I'll put a uh, in the description. I'll put those prayer requests for everyone
Awesome.
just to be reminded of, and definitely we'll be in prayer for those things. And yeah, we're just grateful for you guys and your ways, just the different ways you're serving and reaching out and just pressing on and pursuing the Lord and trusting the Lord through all this, and having a heart of just evangelism and sharing the gospel, man. I mean, Ben, that's something that's been evident in your life since we've known each other since like 2003, 2004.
Yep.
And that's just, man, the Lord is just continuing to build this church and use you guys just to share the gospel. And it's a super encouraging for us. And again, we thank you for these prayer requests that we will definitely bring to the Lord for you guys on your behalf.
So can we say one thing
Yeah.
quick? Just we are so thankful for Cornerstone and their partnership, for your guys' partnership. Not only financially, but through prayers. You guys are a great part of this ministry. There's many of you that receive our prayer letter that will respond, will write, hey, we're praying for you, we're this. And we attribute what we're doing here in a large part to our partners in the U.S. who are praying for us, who are partnering with us, because without that, the Lord is able to do exceedingly abundantly beyond all we could ever ask or think. But he also uses the prayers of faithful men and women to accomplish great things. And we want to thank you guys for that very much.
Yeah, well, it's a privilege, brother, to partner with you in the gospel work and planting churches, and that's what we're about as a church. We love and to be able to support those who are building or are desiring to plant churches and to just pour into people and to evangelize and spread the good news of Christ. And so it's a privilege for us to partner with you guys. Unless you have anything else, I'll pray for you, and then we'll sign off.
That would be awesome.
Let's pray. Father, we praise you for Benjamin and for Tati and for their ministry and for all the different ways in which they are seeking to serve you, seeking to serve their community, and just finding new and creative ways to share the gospel. We thank you for all the different ways in which they're able to spread the good news of Christ in the midst of this coronavirus, in the midst of some of the lockdown and some of the other difficulties, but yet the gospel is going forth, and we praise you for that. May you continue to bless their work, give them wisdom as elders and leaders as the best how to serve, how to minister to not only the church family but also the community. And Father, may you be honored and glorified in all that is said and done through their ministry. Continue to bless their marriage as well. The past 6 months, Father, what a joy that you brought them together. Continue to grow them as they seek you first. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for your prayers.
Yeah, thank you guys.